So this is a lawn that I have personal connection with. My family and I moved into this house roughly about 4 months ago, right at the beginning of July. So I came into this lawn right in the middle of the growing season, and it had numerous issues on it. The first being is it has two huge, beautiful live oaks. However, the previous homeowner let them just become really overgrown, and it's causing an issue with low light for the grass. So this house having these two huge, beautiful live oaks, it's a blessing and a curse. The blessing is it's gonna provide a lot of shade for the house, hopefully lower energy bills, more of an area that's inviting for your kids or family to be in the front yard during those hot Texas summer afternoons. However, for the turf grass, that's where the shade or the low light conditions play into not being a good thing. Even more so with the type of turf grass that was already here. It's all Bermuda. Bermuda needs a full photo period, or full sunlight, I should say. So it's gonna need 12 to 14 hours of sunlight, direct sunlight a day, to be thick, lush, and healthy. So the first thing I did is I hired a company to come out here and trim these trees up pretty dramatically, without taking away from their aesthetic appeal or damaging them. They raised the canopy, I would say roughly 6 feet, and then they thinned up the middle of them quite a bit, allowing for a lot of the morning sunlight to come in and afternoon sunlight. So when I first got into this home, I would say there was probably only 20 to 30% turf establishment in the entire front yard. Now I would say there's probably 80 to 85% pretty healthy Bermuda turf establishment. When I get closer up to the house and where the trees are probably a little bit fuller, that's where I'm still having issues. I thought about, and I did leave the pre-emergence off of these bare areas where there's especially a lot more low light, because the alternative would be coming in here with fescue, a real shade tolerant grass, and overseeding it. And I should have done that, maybe a week or two ago, and I might still even have time. I would like to see coming in here this winter or late fall, I'm gonna trim up the crepe myrtles behind me and maybe a little bit more on the oaks. And I'm gonna see how much more of this Bermuda I can establish prior to coming in here and seeding it with fescue and having to battle with that every year. Fescue does great in low light conditions. The problem is with it is it's not a warm season grass. So when we get into the hot days, 98, 95 and above, and we'll stay there for months at a time here in North Texas, it can kill off that fescue grass, where you're gonna have to reseed a certain percentage of it every year, and you're gonna have to put a little more water to it. So that was the first thing that I was combating on this lawn, was the low light conditions. I resolved that pretty quickly by having the trees trimmed. I would say within a couple months, in combination to mowing weekly. We've talked about that prior, is mowing every 7 days. I also started mowing really tall, because in low light conditions, the taller you mow the lawn, the more residual leaf blade that you have, the more sunlight or light it can capture to help it. It also gives it from afar the visual appearance of it being thicker. Watering was another issue I had to address. The sprinkler system was in okay shape. I had to, change a few heads, few nozzles, but it was just lack of water. The previous homeowner wasn't watering the lawn hardly at all, so I made sure that I was running the sprinkler system sufficient to get roughly about 1.5 inches of water down a week from the months of July. I would say till about middle into September I was doing that. I've backed off of here recent to ensure that I'm allowing this turf grass to become as healthy as it can prior to going into dormancy, because I know I'm still gonna have to have a long road ahead of me next spring and next summer. The other thing that I tackled is the Dallas grass in the lawn and King Ranch blue stem. Dallas grass is a perennial weed that we cannot control with the use of pre-emergence, so we have to control it with the use of non-selective post-emergence during the summer growing season. So I would say from roughly about the end of April until mid-September, 1st of October, we can spray Dallas grass in the yard. I did mention that we're using a non-selective, so that is not only gonna kill the desirable turf grass, the Bermuda, St. Augustine, zoysia, it's gonna kill the Dallas grass. So it's gonna do both. We use a backpack sprayer so that way we can limit or mitigate the damage. We've just found that that's really the best method to eradicate this weed, cost-wise and efficacy-wise. You can see here that there's a little bit of yellowing or dead grass or dead weeds in this area. I probably sprayed this, I'd say 3 weeks ago. It was just one more spray that I kind of wanted to get some more of the lingering stuff that didn't get eradicated with the earlier treatments in the summer. So as a DIYer, you can go to Lowe's or Home Depot, you can buy pre-mixed grass and weed killer. It's gonna come with a non-selective in there called Diquat, I'm pretty sure. That's what I used as well. I didn't have WeedX do these treatments, and I just spot treated it. It comes pre-mixed, it comes with an electric like little pump handle on it. You turn it on and you just walk to those areas and you just spray it on that weed. And I'd recommend doing that about 14 days apart. And you might have to do that 2 to 3 times during the growing season, and depending on how prevalent it is on your yard, you could do that for 2 to 3 years. So those are the steps that I've taken thus far. In the backyard, we'll walk back there, I'll kind of show you some things that I've done back there. But as we're walking here, you can see this is an area that gets poor drainage. So I really haven't come up with a sure solution on it. One thing I know is my neighbor here has St. Augustine, so I'm hoping that with the shade issues here, the St. Augustine will continue to encroach into it, but I might have to resolve the drainage issues. Like you can see, I have a couple of gutter downspouts that every time it rains, it just washes this area out. I might have to take those and move those to a different spot in the lawn so it's not washing this area out. So on this lawn, weeds were obviously an issue. If we can look at this right here, this is all this stuff that's purpling off, it's called crabgrass. Crabgrass is an annual weed that we can prevent with our spring pre-emergence. This lawn didn't get any spring pre-emergence. I got into this lawn, like I said, in June, July. So the previous homeowner didn't do any pre-emergence. Crabgrass is really easy to kill with a pre-emergent or control with a pre-emergent, but it's very difficult to control as soon as it's already mature in your lawn with the use of post-emergence during the summer. So what I did with this is I just mowed weekly. It was green. It's only recently started to turn purple because it goes dormant and dies. It doesn't really go dormant, it completely dies during the winter because it's an annual weed, so it's just gonna put seed out all summer, and then it's gonna die, and then next spring that new crop of seed will germinate. So if we put down the pre-emergent properly timed, I'm not gonna have this. Now that brings up another problem is this is all crabgrass. There's probably not a lot of Bermuda or St. Augustine there. So when I kill all the crabgrass with the pre-emergent next spring, I'm gonna have another bare area that I'm gonna probably have to address with some sort of hardscaping or drainage in this area. You can tell on the side yard here, there are several areas that I killed off Dallas grass. Again, I would say on the side yard, it was probably 60%, 70% Dallas grass when I got the home. You can even see some of the bare areas. And now I would say there's probably only 25 to 30, maybe even less % of Dallas grass here, maybe 10%. I would imagine next spring, I'll get rid of the rest of the Dallas grass and reestablish the Bermuda. The backyard wasn't as in bad a shape. The backyard, it had weed issues, but the grass was pretty healthy. I need to do something with this back flower bed. I've tried to kill the grass with, grass killer Roundup several times, but it keeps coming back on me. So I'm probably gonna have to remove the rocks, dig it out, and then put a weed barrier down to keep that grass from coming back. We see areas, I wanted to bring y'all into the backyard because we see areas like this all the time at homeowners' homes that are like under 5,000 square feet because they're putting them on 0 lot lines. So you get maybe 30 feet in between you and your neighbor, 2-story tall houses, high fences most of the time. So you're only getting direct sunlight. You most of the time have poor drainage. So like that's what's going on in this house. I was getting a little bit of turf grass growing up against the side of the house. I was getting a lot of anaerobic soil, just a lot of bad drainage issues. So what I did is I killed off all of the grass. I've already put in a little bit of this river rock back there. I'm just gonna continue putting river rock down over here. So that way it's a one-time solution. I would never recommend putting sod down here because you're gonna put Bermuda, St. Augustine, whatever it is, and then you're gonna be doing that every 2-3 years, spending several $1,000s on it when you could have probably spent $1,500, $2,000 one time on putting down the rocks here, and it's resolved. You don't have to do that every few years, continuing to put money towards something that's not going to survive. We'll continue this journey on this lawn as next spring comes along. Abby and I will shoot another video out here just to show you how the lawn is continuing to progress. I think we have some pictures of the lawn when we first got into it, so that way y'all can kind of see what it looked like. Hindsight 2020, we should have got on this lawn when I first got in here, but I do feel like this will provide a lot of homeowners insight to how to care for their lawn, because I haven't done a lot of special things to it. I've mowed weekly, I've watered well, made sure my irrigation system was in proper working condition, it was covering well, and I irrigated the way that we advise our customers to, and I spot treated for Dallas grass. Other than that, I haven't done anything outside of the ordinary. I've taken our normal fertilizer treatments that we did in the summer, and now I've had 2 pre-emergent treatments with a little bit of post-emergent. So just with doing the standard things that would cost the customer bare minimum treatment program, you can take a yard and really turn it around. When we give you that advice, just make sure that you're going forward with the notion of like, okay, this person does have something to say that can help my lawn.